everyone, this is Clay Class, Tutorials by the 7th Street Studio. This is our Family Fall Workshop, Part 2. Now by now you've received your bisqueware back in your container and you're ready to glaze. Now I have my piles here and I'm going to be using 3 different colors. So I have my water filled up, and my red glaze, and my green glaze, and my yellow glaze. Okay, so our first step is to set out your platters for one color. I'm going to start with green. You dip your brush in the glaze and you just do one thick solid coat. Now the more glaze you can get on your brush the better, because if it's wet you can just kind of smooth it off. And then take the edge of your brush and just brush it over the edge. You don't want to get glaze on the bottom, you just want it on the top and on the sides. And you're going to repeat this process for all of the platters that you would like to have that specific color. You can see I use the brush and I get one coat down and then I do a second coat after doing the edges. So edges, second coat, let it dry. It's best to use a very soft bristled brush that holds a lot of wet media, so anything that's meant specifically for glaze or anything meant for like a water-based paint, like watercolor brushes, work really well. So I rinse off my brush. I use a sponge to absorb any excess moisture. And I set out for my next color. So I'm going to start with my yellow. And this glaze needs to be mixed up because it was kind of thick. So here I am mixing the glaze, making sure it's nice and smooth. And then applying my first coat, smoothing that out. Second coat, and then the edges. And then I'll repeat that process for the rest of my platters. The consistency that you're going for with the glaze when you apply it is something between like a really thin yogurt or a really thick cream. And then once it's applied, you want about a 1/16 of an inch of glaze on it. sponge off the excess. And I'm going to get started with my red glaze. So here's my last set of platters. And those ones were kind of dusty, so I sponged them off with a very, very lightly damp sponge. So not super, super wet, just enough to kind of get that dust off. So there's our first coat, our edges, using the side of the brush. And I wanted this glaze to come out a little bit more translucent to kind of show the texture a little bit more. So I only applied one coat just for the effect of having it be a little thinner. If you're using like a translucent glaze like this red is, you want it to be a little bit thinner. And if you're using like a thicker glaze like either the cream or the white, you'll want to use 2 coats. Or just really, really thick 1 coat. These smaller ones are really delicate, so anyway, I dip. I kind of have to hold them closer to my eyes, so they kind of went out of the shot. I apologize. So then I'll rinse off the red. Notice how I started with the lightest color and then moved to the darkest. I started with the cream, then I did the green, then I did the red. Now what I'm doing is I just dampen my sponge and I am wiping off any excess glaze that might have dripped on the bottom. So you see there's a drip right there. So I just sponge that off of the bisqueware and it's ready to go. The reason we do this is because when that kind of powdery, sticky, chalky stuff we just stuck to our pots, when it goes through the kiln, it turns into liquid glass, and if that is on the bottom, the glass essentially glues the vessel to the shelf, and then we can't get it off the shelf. It ruins the shelf and it ruins the piece. So cleaning up our bottoms and making sure nothing will drip onto the shelves and nothing will get stuck to the shelves is very important. So there you have it. All of them are ready to dry. Part 3 will be unboxing our glazed pieces and sanding the bottoms. Please make sure to wrap up your pieces really, really carefully. And see you next time. This is Clay Class, tutorials by the 7th Street Studio. Visit our website, send us an email, or look us up on Instagram or Facebook.